When leadership is being under attack, we need to discern the difference between the authority of a king and the influence of a prophet. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the Torah portion, Qorach, and we're still in Bamidbar, or Numbers, chapter number 16. Qorach has led an insurrection of sorts, bringing a lynch mob, if you will, of 250 men of renown, influence, and great reputation to confront Moshe and Aaron, saying to them, the whole congregation is holy. That's verse 3. Every one of them is set apart. In other words, Moshe, you're not the only one around here that is so set apart that you can discern the voice of Yah. We've heard his voice. And every one of us should be able to then discern and hear and write down our own Torah. Moshe, you've gone up on this mountain and you've stayed there for 40 days and then you've come down, and we're all supposed to just fall in line with what it is that you've said. So Moshe puts them to the test. Well, we're going to find out about this tomorrow. You guys show back up with your fire pans, and we'll let Yah determine who he accepts and who he rejects. He further says, Dathan of Abiram, where are they? He sends word to them, and they say, we're not coming up. We're not going to deal with you. And when you get down to verse number 14, these two men said to Moshe, also you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us the fields of inheritance and vineyards. Why would you bore out the eyes of these men? We're not coming up there to deal with you. Bore their eyes out? They were angry. We came all the way out here in the middle of nowhere, looking for milk and honey, looking for lands to inherit. And now you're saying to us that we're all going to die in the wilderness and maybe our children will go in. Moshe, we've had enough of you. Your leadership has failed. And we're done. Do they know who they are opposing? Moshe is an interesting individual in that he has a dual role that he is fulfilling in the midst of the people. Number one, he is kingly in his authority. A king rules by demonstrated power. When he sits on the throne, the scepter in his hand, the crown on his head, the robes around his shoulders, he has the authority to call up an army, to lead those armies into battle, to determine which nations or people groups that they're actually going to attack. They have the authority to levy taxes from the people in order to support his government. They can seize their adversaries even within their own kingdom and cut off their heads, having a servant go fall upon him that he die. David did that. The thing is, though, that when a king dies, they may have a grand ceremony where they put him in a tomb of sorts. A lot of pomp, a lot of circumstance, but when he's dead, he is no longer feared unless he is groomed and raised up a successor to his throne who yields and wields power as his father has. But once again, when the king is gone, he's no longer feared. But there's a difference in a prophet. A prophet doesn't lead by decree, but rather by righteous influence. He carries with him the ability to hear, discern, and announce the very word of Yahweh, who is the ultimate king. He has the ability to gain insight into the unknown in order to declare the future. Most prophets are not recognized and appreciated in their day. Yeshua said a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown or own country. People look at him and say, I know you, I know your parents, I know where you grew up, I saw you as a child, I really don't have any great respect for you. Those who stood in opposition to Moshe and to Aaron's authority, they claimed that Moshe and Aaron wielded too much power. They claimed that Moshe went and got a Torah that elevated himself and his brother and put everyone else down under their thumbs or even under their feet. They were not seeing the fruit of their leadership. Therefore, they chose to rebel. When you get down to it, though, Qorach wanted Aaron's job. He wanted to be the priest. The sons of Reuben believed that Levi had wrongly taken the authority of the firstborn status that was theirs, being the sons of Reuben, the firstborn. But it is Yah who prophesied through Yaakov and said that the scepter does not depart from Yehudah. Moshe is operating in an authority and in the power that they themselves believe belong to them. It's frustrating when someone else has got your role. But do we ever stop to ask the question, has Yah determined it to be so? So if we can get rid of Moshe, if we can by some means kill him, then we're done. Think about it this way. If I have authority as a king, and I take my authority and I divide it in 3 parts. I have one part for myself, and 2/3 of my authority I give to 2 other individuals. Now, 3 people have 1/3 of the total package of authority. The other 2 may surmise between them, let's combine our authority and overwhelm Barry's authority, and if we kill him, then we can divide his portion between us as well. But if I have a prophetic authority, and I give my authority away to others, that is, I lead by my influence, and I raise up other prophets to walk as I walk, then I've not diminished my authority, but rather by influence I have increased it. And now my authority or my influence is magnified and elevated. A prophet may die, but his influence will live on after his death because his words are not decrees of action, but words of influence and calls to righteousness. When it comes to leadership in our congregations, in our families, when it comes to influencing our community and those who know us, we may stomp our foot and make decrees and act like a king and rule with a heavy hand. But eventually, either we pass away and that influence is no longer in effect, or else someone will figure out how to rise up and take our authority from us and shove us out of our place. But if we're leading by influence, as long as we walk righteously, as long as our words are discerned to be true, as long as our efforts magnify Yeshua, exalting the throne of our Father in heaven, then even after we die, even after our physical existence is no longer existing, our influence is still existing. My father, may he be always remembered with a blessing. He ruled not by an iron fist and stomping his foot in decrees, but by righteous influence. And now that he's gone, his influence lives on. I seek to offer to my family the same, and I encourage you in your families and in your congregations to do likewise. Influence is mightier than a decree. More tomorrow. Until then, shalom.